Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Judge Snyder will not be here today. Had a couple of things going on. So, pursuant to KRS 67.040, courts must first elect a member of the fiscal court to preside over the proceedings today.
Make a motion for Butch Whitman to lead our meeting today.
Okay, I have a Butch for meeting. I have a motion for Butch to preside over the meeting today. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Putman, chair is yours.
He is the old man of the group, isn't he?
As Charlie said, I'm the old man, so elder statesman. Thank you, guys. It's a real honor to do it. So, as always, I just want to welcome everyone to the April 23rd, 2019 fiscal court meeting. We have the Reverend Jim Wolford from the First United Methodist Church to do our invocation. The Reverend, if you would, please, all stand.
Let us bow. O Lord our God, as we come this morning, we thank you for your goodness, for the beauty of the sunshine that fills our world. Lord, we thank you that in your word you say that you're the author of every good and perfect gift. And by the shadow of your wing, you offer us shade and protection. Lord, indeed, you are good. And we thank you for these who have come to serve this community. We ask, oh God, that as they make their deliberations, that they indeed might be instruments of provision, that they might help to see over the needs of our community, that all those who live here in Henderson might find that their most basic needs are taken care of. That likewise they might be looking for those areas where we are in need of protection. Oh God, grant them your wisdom, that they might deliberate with indeed a sense of goodness and fairness and justice and mercy for the days in which we live. We pray these blessings in your holy name. Amen.
Amen. If you would continue to stand and join me with the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jim. Mr. Clerk, call a roll, please.
Magistrate Southard. Here. Magistrate Moran.
Present.
Magistrate McCollum.
Here.
Magistrate Berry.
Here.
Magistrate Putman.
Here. You also have the minutes from last April 9th, 2019 fiscal court meeting. I'll give you a moment to look over those.
Make a motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Got a second? Any discussion? Mr. Clerk, call a roll, please.
All right. Magistrate Southard.
Aye.
Magistrate Moran.
Aye.
Magistrate McCollum.
Aye.
Magistrate Berry.
Aye.
Magistrate Putman.
Aye. And we're lucky today to have our judge's scholar, Miss Delaney Shoemate from South Heights. Delaney, if you would, we're going to read a proclamation, and just meet me down front here, if you would. There's also a photo op. Mr. Clerk, if you would, sir.
All right. Congratulations, Delaney. Proclamation from Henderson County Judge Executive Brad Schneider. Whereas Delaney Shoemate has been chosen by South Heights Elementary School to be the recipient of the Judge's Scholar Award because she made a choice to accept things that would benefit her education and well-being. And whereas change is not easy, however, Delaney's ability to embrace change has led to growth that will only further her successes in life. And whereas success is measured in many different ways, whether it be passing a test, scoring the winning point, achieving a particular goal, or taking the necessary steps for overall improvement. And whereas the Henderson County School System could not let Delaney's efforts go unnoticed, and whereas Henderson County Fiscal Court supports the school system and acknowledges these changes as being significant because students, such as Delaney Shoemate, will be our future leaders. And now, therefore, I, Brad Schneider, County Judge Executive of Henderson, join with the Henderson County Fiscal Court to proclaim April 23rd, 2019 as Delaney Shoemate Day.
You're going to gather all this information because Mr. Gold keeps you informed of what's going on.
Congratulations.
Brad, this year I wouldn't have to do that. You've done that for me, Billy. But you need to exercise.
Mr. Personality, huh?
Anyway, congratulations again, Ms. Delaney. So, like I say, Mr. Gold is usually pretty good about whispering in the ear as we go through the court. Try to, so just make yourself at home as comfortable as you can be on that stool. All right. We have the WARM grant closeout on the agenda. And basically what that is, it's a flow-through grant, and we do this annually. We have Jennifer Marks from GRAD with us today to kind of say a few words. You want to come up, Jennifer?
Thank you. So, what he said, it's pretty, do we need to go into closeout or, I'm sorry, I want to make sure we do this correctly.
I didn't know if you wanted to introduce it first and then go into
Yeah,
the
we
public
can do
hearing
that.
or not. Either way is fine.
Yeah, so like you said, I'm Jennifer Marks from the GRAD office. There's a lot of new faces up here, so I often forget that. But what this is it's I think we've been doing it for the last 11 years now. It's a grant through the Department for Local Government for Recovery Kentucky Centers. There are now 16 in the state. It's a grant that we've applied for every year. We do this. It's a yearly thing. Everybody that's been around is pretty used to that. But it does require that we go into public session to do that. So it's a little bit of a different thing. So just bear with us here for that little bit. So.
All right. So what we need to do is I need a motion to go into a public hearing for the closeout of the grant.
So moved.
Got a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. As Ms. Mark stated, we hold this public hearing for anybody that has anything to say for or against the grant. So at this time, I'm opening up the floor to anybody that has anything to say for or against this grant.
Okay, well, at this time, I'm going to provide a little bit of information on this
Should we
past
not
year's.
swear her in first?
State your name.
You swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is true and accurate to the best of your knowledge.
I do.
Would you state your name, please?
Jennifer Marks.
No, go ahead.
Okay. I'm going to provide a little information on this past year's funding. We also have Nicole with the Warm Center here that can provide a little bit more information on the successes of the actual center's uses of the funding. This past year, we did utilize $200,000 for the center, that's what we applied for, and that's what we were given. Like I said, there are, I know my notes here say that there are 10. There are actually 16. I found that out as of last Thursday with Sarah from the Owensboro Regional Recovery Center. This funding is used for staff salaries and operational fees for the center. The original construction was used with home funds, AHTF funds, as well as the Federal Home Loan Bank funds. This year we also plan to do the same thing. So if there's any comments, questions on this, or if Nicole, you would like to come up and kind of give an overview of this past year's successes with the program.
Would you state your name, please?
Nicole Fields.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is true and accurate to the best of your knowledge?
Right now we have today 126 clients. 60 beds of those 126 are DOC beds. We do have a waiting list of about 4 to 6 months. We keep one all year long. Right now we have 21 staff members, including myself. We have 64 tenants in the apartments next door. We also have a waiting list for those apartments, the sober living. We are planning new things in the future, hopefully. I know you've noticed where we bought all the houses and torn them down. We plan to put something really cool there. We don't know what it's going to be yet. But Dale and I are working on that. So I'm just here to answer any questions that you might have.
Anyone have any questions?
No, I'd just like to thank them. When I was judge, you all were so good. Whenever I'd have a client that needed help, you all were always there, and I appreciate that.
You're very welcome.
Anything else? Anybody have anything to say for or against the grant? The third and final time, does anyone have anything to say for or against the grant?
Make a motion to close the hearing.
We got a motion to close the hearing. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? All right, that we close that one.
Thank you.
Now,
That closed the public hearing. Now we have to vote to close out the grant.
Do we need
we,
make a motion to go back into session? Is that what we need?
We have to vote to close this one out first.
right.
okay.
Yeah, sorry.
So now we need a motion to actually close out the grant.
I move that we close out the grant.
We got a motion to close out the grant. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All right.
Round one.
Yeah. Now we need a motion to go back into the regular session.
No.
Oh, into public session.
No, you're.
Okay. All right. All right. So now we're going to go into the 2019-2020 application public hearing. So again, Ms. Marks, do you have anything you want to state?
Are we
Yes.
need a motion to go into the
We need to go
hearing?
into public hearing.
I'll make a
Yeah.
motion.
We got a motion going to the hearing. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Now, Ms. Marks, do you have anything you'd like to say?
I'd like to apologize for making everything so confusing first. But yes, so this year we will be applying for the 2019-2020 grant as well. And the Department for Local Government has again made the funding available for us. This year, there's $3.1 million altogether available for the recovery centers. Again, that's split between the 16. That's either new construction or your application for your operational costs, things like that. So we will be applying for the $200,000 again. We should be good. You know, that's what their suggestion is for our application. So that's what we do. This public hearing, they also serves to let you all know that there is technical assistance available at the grad office for low to moderate income individuals for housing projects through community development block grant funds. So if you all need anything, you call. I actually do those, so if you have any questions at all, Jennifer Marks, call over there, let me know. We're going to apply again. Let's see. We mentioned that, of course, it is going towards staff salaries. You know that it's 1 in 16. Since the facility did open, they have served around 4,000 clients. As she mentioned, they already have a waiting list. We know that there's a success going on, and so there's a definite need for this funding. The application is just going to further what they already do. So we're really excited for them. We'd love to do this application every year on behalf of Fiscal Court and WARM. So if there's no questions or anything, that's all I've got for you for this one.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that has anything to say for or against the 1920 grant? I'll ask again. Does anybody have anything for or against to say about the 2019-2020 grant? Third and final time. Does anyone have anything to say about the 2019-2020 grant? Hearing nothing, thank you, Ms. Marks.
Need a motion
We need a motion to close this public hearing
and return to
and return to the regular order of Fiscal Court.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you. Now, we do have a resolution, Mr. Clerk, correct?
Correct. Okay, this year's resolution, it's a standard resolution they use every year. It's a resolution authorizing the judge executive to sign and submit a community development block grant application to the Kentucky Department for Local Government. Be resolved by the Henderson County Fiscal Court that the judge executive be and is authorized to sign and submit an application for the community development block grant funds to the Kentucky Department for Local Government for the Women's Addiction Recovery Manor.
You heard the resolution. Can I get a motion to accept?
I move to accept.
Motion to accept. Is there a second?
Second.
Got a second? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you. In your packet, we have a resolution about the busing of non-public school students. This is something we do annually also. We pay for the busing of the students at Holy Name, but the state actually reimburses us at the end of the year for $32,500. Mr. Clerk, would you read the resolution, please?
Resolution stating that the county provided funds in school year 2018-2019 for the transportation of non-public school students. Whereas the Henderson County Fiscal Court paid to the Henderson County Board of Education the sum of $32,500 for the transportation of non-public school students for the school year 2018-2019. And whereas in that connection, the Henderson County Fiscal Court applies to the Transportation Cabinet of the Commonwealth of Kentucky for reimbursement of said $32,500, which was budgeted for school year 2018 and 2019. And whereas the Henderson County Fiscal Court has received an estimated accounting from the Henderson County Board of Education for the 2018-2019 school year, be it therefore resolved by the Henderson County Fiscal Court to apply to the Transportation Cabinet of the Commonwealth of Kentucky for reimbursement of the $32,500 paid to the Henderson County Board of Education for transportation of non-public school students.
Anybody have any questions on the resolution? Hearing none, can I get a motion to accept?
So moved.
There's a motion to accept. Is there a second?
Second.
And a second. Any more discussion on it? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like signs. Ayes have it. Thank you, Mr. Clerk. You have the resolution for the 2019 Recreational Trail Program. What this is it's a grant. It's an 80-20, I believe.
Basically, yeah.
And
Where'd he go?
well, Bill's done left, but we apply for this annually also, I
Yeah.
believe. So,
Everything's on the backside.
yeah, and the amount of the grant is $100,000. They contribute the applicant's grant contribution match is $70,000. The total project is like $170,000.
This was the same grant we
Same grant we
applied for the last couple of years. We did not get it last year. It's basically just reapplication process. Most of the $70,000 that the county is putting in is in-kind services, and this is for the grant we're putting in for is for expanding the wetlands trails down the Audubon off of Stratham Road there.
Yeah, the trail's actually 10 foot wide, 6 inches in the DGA base, and 3 foot of asphalt binder. So, but the total project's $170,000.
Then if you don't apply, you don't get it.
Right.
And
Yeah. Any questions on it? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Need resolution first.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, read the resolution, Mr.
It's
Clark.
okay.
Yeah.
We'll get through. Recreational Trail Grants, Recreational Trails Program Fund 219 grant application. Whereas the County of Henderson proposes to develop recreational resources to provide for the health and well-being of the general public, and whereas the County of Henderson intends to make application to the Department for Local Government for assistance under the Recreational Trails Program, and whereas the Recreational Trails Program is limited to funding a maximum of 80% of the proposed project costs, estimated at $170,000. Therefore be it resolved by the County of Henderson, hold and reserve 20% of the proposed project cost for the purpose of matching the Recreational Trails Program assistance, and be it further resolved that in the event a grant is awarded, the County of Henderson understands that it will sign assurances to comply with all applicable federal and state laws, rules, and regulations, especially Title VI of the Civil Rights Act and Section 504 of the 1973 Rehabilitation Act.
Any questions on that?
make a motion to approve.
There's a motion to accept. Is there a second?
Second.
And a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
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 Opposed, like signs. Ayes have it. Thank you. We got a voting system contract we have to approve. Renisa, could you come up and just give us a brief overview of what that is? Mr. Gold, I believe you've looked over the contract.
Yes, it is approved as to form and legality. Initially, when they presented it to us, it was a very bare bones contract that essentially just said that we were going to pay them and didn't really get into the details of what services they were going to provide, what kind of warranties, things like that. So we got back in touch with them, and they added those as addenda to this contract. You can see those attached, and it gets into a lot more detail about exactly all the services we're bidding. So it matches, or that we're getting, it matches their bid, which is the important thing, because the initial contract didn't really have all that stuff included in it. So I think now it's in much better form, so it is approved as to form and legality.
All right. The total amount on the voting machines, if I remember, was $464,894.
That is correct.
And we'll do 2 installments. Anyway, Renisa, why don't you
Yes.
tell us?
Well, basically, the need, we already discussed the need for the machines, and the court agreed the necessity. Some of our machines are 15 years old and constantly costing us maintenance, every single year. We just had a battery situation. It's going to cost us $400 to have the primary just for batteries. It's just ongoing, and I think everybody understands that. So this contract, was an answer to all of the services they are going to provide, and specifies the machines and everything that they are going to provide for us. And so basically, we're just here today to approve the contract and agreeing to purchase the machines with the half payment of $232,447 out of this fiscal year, and the remaining out of the next.
Any questions? Can I get a motion to accept the contract to
So
purchase the voting machines?
So moved.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
And a second. Any more discussion?
I'll just note and remind everyone, for those that are in the room today that may not have been present when this occurred, this was put out for bids.
Oh, yes,
and
it was.
Pursuant to applicable law, advertised for anybody to come forward and bid, and HARP was the best evaluated bid that was
Yes.
received.
Thanks for pointing that out.
And the life expectancy of electronics like this is not as long as we've had these, the ones that we've got. We just have to do something. It's going
Right.
to be a problem.
Anything else? We had a motion and a second already, I believe, haven't we? Mr. Clerk, call a roll on this one for me, if you would.
Magistrate Southern,
Aye.
Magistrate Moran,
Aye.
Magistrate Berry,
Aye.
Magistrate McCollum,
Aye.
Magistrate Putman.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Vanessa. Ms. Ryder, could you come up and give us an idea of what that audit contract approval looks like?
For the annual fiscal court audits, the state auditor's office has the right of first refusal for the annual audit. Generally, because of their constraints, they will allow the court to go out and seek a separate CPA firm. The state generally tries to at least get in and do the fiscal court audit at least once every 4 years. They are currently here doing the fiscal year ending June 30th of 2018 audit. With that said, the state has granted the county permission to seek a private CPA to do the audit ending June 30th of 2019. We have secured a quote from Roy Hunter, CPA from Lexington, Kentucky, to do the audit in the amount of $15,700. There would be a $3,000 additional charge if the audit was deemed a single audit, which at this time it doesn't look like it's going to happen. Roy Hunter CPA performed the fiscal year 17 audit for the price of $14,500, and we feel that this quote is comparable to their previous.
Well, and the good part of all that, our previous audits were done to the tune of an excess of over $30,000. So
Yes, sir.
this was quite a deal, and they've done a great job on this past one too. So.
Now, he used to work for the state.
Not Mr. Hunter, I don't understand, but there is a person who works with, he's not part of the firm, but he works very closely with the CPA firm, and he is a retired state auditor, yes. And his wife, who is also part of the firm, she has done county audits with another firm several years ago.
But it's about half the price of what we paid before.
Yes, sir. For the fiscal year 15 audit, there was approximately $43,000 paid. For the fiscal year 16 audit, there was approximately $45,000 paid.
And this is going to get us up to date. We'll be caught up then.
Yes, and Hunter CPA does understand that we are under an SEC regulation to have the audit back so that the reporting can be done to the SEC prior to December 27th of this year.
Make a motion to approve the contract.
We have a motion to approve the contract. Is there a second?
Second.
And a second. Any more discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, like signs. Ayes have it. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you, Brenda. Next on the agenda, you see the corrections to the January 23rd, 2018 minutes. What had happened, there was maybe a couple sentences that got omitted when it was transcribed, but we need to go back and amend that to make that right, I think, Steve, is what you suggested. So,
I believe there was an issue with the current audit where they had found something. Is that correct, Brenda? Can you explain what's going on there? There was, and I believe this was prior to Mr. Wieson's tenure as the fiscal court clerk, but there was a sentence or two left out that has become important to the auditors. Is that correct?
It involves budgeted transfers, which was part of the budget. And when I was asked about it, I pulled my notes and I said, yes, well, then when the court clerk reviewed it, it was just part of a transcription that got left out of the minutes, but it was approved in court. It's just not on the paper of the minutes.
Then our auditors got that one? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I'd make a motion to.
well, we do have. Are you going to play a video? We can play a video to show you.
I think it's important for the members of the fiscal court that were not present at that meeting, if they're going to be voting on minutes, to see the video record that it actually
Okay.
did happen.
It's coming up on the
Protect
screen
you guys there.
right now.
These are your bank balances after paying claims today. Your day-to-day expense line items should be at approximately 58%. I need to request a funds transfer. Both of these are budgeted transfers. The first one, transferring $250,000 from the general fund to the LGEA fund. The second, transferring $1,826,000 from the general fund to the road fund. These are both budgeted transfers.
I want to, before we make a motion on that, members of the Finance Committee met yesterday to discuss these transfers. These are budgeted transfers, obviously, and it's that time of the year when we begin to especially think about the end of the year for the road fund and LGEA. So, Magistrate Putman or Magistrate,
Sure.
you have any comments on that?
The amount seems like it's huge, but what the projection is, that's what it's going to take to get us to the end of this fiscal year on both those, on the road and the LGEA. I mean, you could have, I guess, done it a little bit at a time if you wanted, but we chose just to recommend that we just come up with a figure and put that amount of money to carry us through the fiscal year.
And both those amounts are a fraction of, not quite half of what we actually budgeted.
Correct.
And both of these are made without any additional anticipated revenue, which there will be. The road aid, the projected road aid is in this projection, but it gets a little bit harder after that to project what else you will have coming in at the end of the year.
Any other questions about the claims as well?
I do have one additional claim to add. In the amount of $6,781.52 to Home Depot from the general fund, and this will come from the custodial line supply, and it pays for some office renovations that are going on in the county attorney's office.
How much is that? Flooring, I believe, right?
Yes, sir. It's the flooring, the tile. It's in the amount of $6,781.52.
Again, a budgeted expense.
And that was part of budgeted expense in the custodial budget.
So can I get a motion to accept both the claims and the line item transfers?
Second.
Any other questions? I didn't want to rush through the claims there in case anybody had any other questions about claims or.
Judge, I don't have a question, but I want to compliment Brenda. I really like the format that we're getting now, particularly if you look at the appropriation condition report, next to the last column, it has the percent received, and then it's just a great document now.
Yeah.
We get so much more information than what I used to know. I would manually have to figure it, so I really like what she's providing.
Part of that is the format created by the new software system we implemented, and Brenda and Paula in our office have worked very hard to implement that. And I agree, it's a little bit simpler.
It's still a work in progress, but we're getting there, and it's going to be a very good tool.
Just as a point of reference, I think through, what did you say the percentage we should be at?
Approximately 58%.
Yeah. Here we're more than halfway through the year. We should be at 58% of the year, and in the general fund, total expenditures are at 42% and change, which is excellent. Each of the departments, in fact, is either on budget or slightly below or well below, so that's excellent. So we have a motion and a second to accept the claims and approve the line item transfers. Any other comments? Please take a vote.
Magistrate Warren. Magistrate Alexander. Magistrate Todd. Magistrate Wilkerson. And Magistrate Plittman.
Aye.
In your packets, you also were given.
Thank goodness for YouTube.
Yeah. Well, we thought that was significant evidence that we could make the record straight from, I believe, right, Steve? That it's it will serve so we can correct the minutes that would satisfy the auditors, correct, Brenda?
Yes.
All right. Do you have anything else on it, Brenda? Is that it?
No.
It was a situation where the right thing actually happened. It just
Yeah.
didn't make the minutes. And so we thought it was important for you all to see the video since everybody except Magistrate Putman was not here. So good thing we have those.
Yeah, I
things
was
saved
the only
on video.
one, and
Yeah.
I was at a funeral that morning, so, yeah. Anybody have anything to say on it? Anything else? Hearing none, I guess I need a motion so we can amend those minutes.
So moved.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Anything else? Mr. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Magistrate Southern.
Aye.
Magistrate Moran.
Aye.
Magistrate McCollum.
Aye.
Magistrate Berry.
Aye.
Magistrate Putman.
Aye. Thank you, Brenda. We have the Humane Society. Miss Debbie Edwards is with us today to kind of give us an update on what's happening. Morning.
Good morning, magistrates. I've been here before to update you guys on a few things. We again are in the process of hiring a new executive director. The previous one, he had a lot of good ideas and a lot of good things, but we needed to go in a different direction to run both entities with the animal control side and the Humane Society side. So it just didn't work out.
Can I, Mr. Jones has
Yes.
left?
Yes. We did via email the court and update them, but I wanted to make sure I came today, tell you guys, what the plan was. It is posted on Indeed. We also still have 2 animal control jobs posted. We did hire a new animal control and recently sent her to the NACA training, and she's doing phenomenal. She's actually a vet tech previously, so her experience is well needed. In the meantime, we lost an animal control officer, so now we are still too short, which also kind of reflects in our financials. I believe that we kind of talked about.
Yeah, when I looked at it, I noticed we was going backwards again, and we were doing pretty well there for a while. But
Yeah.
I looked at the training line item, and it had jumped. So
Yeah, and once we feel that we are so short-staffed that the board and everybody related to the board is kind of pitching in to help out. As soon as we fill those spots and get back on track, that will take care of every bit of that. We still have, I think, 2 months left in this fiscal year. And as soon as those vet bills are paid, that's probably going to be back in the red anyway. I did want to let you know that we did go back to daylight savings time hours. We were 11 to 5, now we're 12 to 6 because it does stay daylight a little bit longer, trying to get those people after 5 to be able to come in, and we're still there. I think that's about all I have. I just wanted to make sure you guys were up to date on our progress, and as soon as we have a new executive director, we will bring them to meet you.
All right. Well, thank you, Miss. Anybody have any questions for Miss Edwards? Thank you.
Thank you.
We didn't get that. Right. Oh, okay. Okay, next is the detention center report. Do we have anything, Teresa? Nothing? All right, thank you. In your packet, the sheriff has submitted his report. Is there any questions? The sheriff's here. Anybody have any questions on it? Sheriff, you have any remarks? Hearing none, could I get a motion to accept?
I move to accept.
Got a motion to accept. Is there a second?
Second.
And a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, like signs. Ayes have it. Miss Abner, County Clerk's report.
have a monthly and a quarterly report for you today. The monthly is for March 2019. Excess fees in the amount of $128,633.80. Total remitted to the county, $184,677.51. Compared to March of 2018, the excess fees are up $8,082. The quarterly, January through March, excess fees in the amount of $292,538.17. Total remitted to the county is $406,319.87. And compared to the same quarter of 2018, the excess fees are up $13,028.
You heard the report. Is there any questions for Renisa? Hearing none, can I get a motion to accept?
Do we accept that for audit? Is that what we do?
We accept,
Yes.
yeah.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Clerk, call a roll, please.
Master McCollum,
Aye.
Master Berry, Master Moran,
Aye.
Master Southern,
Aye.
Thank you.
Master Putman.
Aye. Renisa, as always, thank you. Appreciate it. County Attorney Report. Mr. Steve Gold.
I've got several checks today. A flow-through for a supplement to an assistant county attorney's salary, $458.33. Dental and life insurance, $479.54. Health insurance, $8,737. Aflac, $124.94, bringing today's total to $9,799.81, and the fiscal year total to date to $126,794.85. And Delaney told me she's not handled almost $10,000 before, so she's going to pass that over to her.
Like it.
Had to make a motion to accept.
We got a motion to accept the county attorney's report. Is there a second?
Second.
And a second. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
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 Opposed, like signs. Ayes have it. Thank you. Fund transfers, Ms. Brenda Ryder.
You should have in your packet a list of the fund transfers. The first 5 are products of the discussion from the April 15th budget workshop. This is moving appropriation line items within the existing budget. The first one, from insurance courthouse, $21,000 to employee assistance program. This is to replenish the employee HRA account for the admin fees since the beginning of the inception of the program, January 2017 forward. The second, from contingent appropriations in the amount of $232,447 to the voting machines appropriation line item. This is to pay for the purchase of the first set of voting machines prior to June 30th. The next one, from the appropriations line, utilities courthouse in the amount of $15,635 to the occupational tax supply appropriation line. This is to pay for the fiscal tax license software purchase, which is for the occupational net profits tax, which we're bringing in-house. The next one is from the insurance courthouse line in the amount of $16,750 to the office supply lines of the sheriff. This is for a video watchguard server purchase for the sheriff's department. The last, in the LGEA fund, from the landfill and solid waste appropriation line, $15,000 to the senior citizens program or the gathering place. And this is to assist the gathering place in restroom remodel to help them become ADA compliant. The next set of transfers are general transfers. They are still within the existing budget. $500,000 from the recycling employees appropriation line item to the
Brenda,
equipment.
5,000 instead of
5,000, I'm sorry. To the equipment repairs, maintenance of recycle. The amount of $1,500 from the telephone road appropriation line to the county engineer appropriation line. In the jail fund, $10,000 from the part-time help appropriation line to the maintenance supervisor line. Next, $40,000 from the Class D coordinators line to the overtime line for the jail. The last is $15,000 from motor vehicles of the jail to the utility line appropriation line for the jail. This last set are to cover fund or department overages within that department.
You heard all of them. Is there any questions for Ms. Ryder on any of these transfers?
On the jail fund, on the maintenance supervisor, how did that get out of line?
There was some reclassification for the within the employee department codes.
What do you mean by reclassification?
She's going to eliminate some of her employee codes, more staying with the routine deputy line versus splitting out Class D maintenance supervisors.
Basically, a job classification change.
It's just moving. It's the way the original budget was budgeting employees, and then that's not exactly how it's ended up that they're using. They've classed more people into the deputies versus a specific line item.
Same thing then for the Class D coordinator and the overtime?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And the other ones were taking care of the voting machine we've already approved, and taking care of the new file server for the sheriff's office that we talked about at our budget meeting. And then we're buying the software to allow us to go independent of the city for the tax collection.
Yes, sir.
And then we've got to catch up on that administrative fee for the other. I make a motion that we approve all these transfers.
There's a motion to approve all the transfers. Can I get a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Clerk, call a roll, please.
Manager Southern.
Aye.
Manager Moran.
Aye.
Manager McCollum.
Aye.
Manager Berry.
Aye.
Manager Putman.
Aye.
Again, those were approving transfers. So as these invoices come in or the need, you will be approving the checks for those also.
Yeah. Next, we'll have claims. Thank you, Brenda.
The Financial Committee went over these claims yesterday. We had a couple of questions, but I think they've been answered. We had a refund of a tax bill, and we found out the law is that up to 2 years after if somebody has the right to get the senior exemption and they forget to do it, sign up for it, they can come back up to 2 years later and go back and recollect that. But if they find out that they weren't living in the home at that time, the state can go back and collect taxes back for 5 years. It doesn't really make sense, but anyway, it was a correct decision. And then we also had a discussion on a Board of Zoning Adjustment attorney's bill. They charged $325 an hour. Sort of seemed like a lot of money, but the normal attorney was sick, and they had to find somebody for the meeting, and that was a one-time deal. So if nobody has any questions, I'll make a motion if we need to.
Go ahead. Well, let Brenda go through the balances, Charlie, then.
These are the bank balances after paying claims today. Your day-to-day appropriation lines should be at approximately 83%. And then I do have some additional claims to add. From the general fund to Fiscal Soft Corporation in the amount of $15,635. This is for the fiscal tax software license purchase for the occupational net profits tax. To Tompkins Hauling and Excavating in the amount of $1,515. This is to come from the building inspector demolition line. To Ron's Automotive in the amount of $1,830.09. This is for vehicle repairs and is to come from the sheriff vehicle repairs appropriation line. To Federal Field Services in the amount of $1,890. This is for EMA radio replacement repair services and is to come from the EMA supplies line. Then $21,000 to the employees' HRA fund, and this is to replenish the account for the monthly admin fees.
Any questions for Ms. Ryder on the paying claims?
You talked about the bank balances. Are we going to talk about that too in this document? Should I wait on that?
Do you have a question? Or?
Well, the 911 bond, I don't understand why it's taking so long to get that thing finished up.
It's an ongoing joint venture between the city and county, and I really can't address why that is still ongoing.
Anybody on the city-county committee?
Charlie, not really. I couldn't really answer it at this time.
I think Brent can.
Okay, here we go.
We've been waiting for Motorola to get the final site up and running in Spotsville Water Tower. And because of its location, it cannot be connected through microwave dishes to the other. As I understand, the site is up for testing and will be tested once we get full foliage on the trees. So it should be complete this summer. We'll have to do the retest again.
Okay.
And this site came about because we did not pass the test previously. They came in, did their study, and recommended the sites we had, and it failed the test. We did not have full coverage, so they had to put up another tower, and it's taking quite a bit of work after the fact. So hopefully this summer it will be done.
And that's part of our contract, part of our performance contract with them is that we would reach a certain percentage of coverage throughout the county, and they were the experts. They said they could get it done with a certain number of sites. They were wrong, and so we went back to them and said, you need another site.
Basket Smith Mills being in that low area.
We've had trouble with that for years, and it puts us, the sheriffs and all the emergency officers in bad shape. So
that's why it's important not to close that out until they reach those benchmarks.
Thank you,
because
Brent.
once they get their money, they're going to stop.
Yeah.
Any more questions? Hearing none, can I get a motion to
I'd
pay
make
the
a
claims?
motion to pay the claims.
We got a motion to pay the claims. Is there a second?
Second.
And a second. Any more discussion? Mr. Clerk, call it roll, please.
Master Southern?
Aye.
Master Moran?
Aye.
Master McCollum?
Aye.
Master Berry? Aye. Master Putman?
Aye. Thank you,
Thank you.
Brenda. Last item on the agenda today is to go to the county. Does anybody in the audience have anything they would like to present at this time? Good morning.
Good morning.
Could you state your name, please?
I'm Joel McClellan. I am co-chair of the Women's Honor Court. Scott Davis is the other chair.
Thank you.
I'm here this morning to tell you all about a walk that we are doing. The Women's Honor Court will be having a celebration walk on Sunday, May the 19th at 3 p.m. It's to kick off a year-long celebration of the 100th anniversary of women's right to vote. Judge Brad Snyder has said that he will be a captain for a group to walk. We would like for the magistrates to join in this walk. The walk is going to begin at 3 p.m. at the Riverwalk at 12th Street and the Methodist Hospital. We have permission to use that parking lot there, and then people can walk up to 12th Street. The walk will conclude at the Women's Honor Court, where there will, there'll be a short concert by E.J. Simmons and a speaker from the Kentucky Humanities Council. We're inviting the Henderson County Court to join us in celebrating this milestone in Americans' history for women.
Well, thank you for the invitation first. Anybody have anything they want to say about the walk? We'll all consider being there. We'll check the calendars for sure.
I think my boss will have me there.
Good. I think a lot of, but I have been really surprised going out to get these captains, and this is a nonpartisan walk. We're not campaigning for one thing except a celebration. But we do have the chair of the Republican Party, the chair of the Democratic Party, and I'm surprised at the reception. The men are as excited about this as the women, and I'm really feeling good about this, and we appreciate Brad Snyder's support and the court's support of the Women's Honor Court. This is the only one in the state of Kentucky. It's only 4 in the United States dedicated to women. And we are very proud of this, and we feel like this year-long celebration will even draw more attention to Henderson County's Women's Honor Court. And I thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing you on May the 19th on Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock.
Well, Joel, will you talk to the school system about this tonight?
We have already I've met with Morgana. There is a plan to start this celebration and history in the school beginning in fall. I guess their school, it starts in August. You can tell how old I am. We used to start after Labor Day. But anyway, it's going to be in the curriculum. So, yes, we're on board with that already.
I think a lot of young women don't realize what the women in the 1800s and early 1900s had to go through to get this right, and it's hard to believe that we were ever the way we were.
Well, Beth Moran, her husband's grandmother, which was my husband's aunt, Florine Triplett, did not have the right to vote. So when it became voted in, she said she was never going to miss that chance to vote. So I think Dennis took her an absentee ballot. She was going to be 100 in January, and that was November, and she said, no, I want to vote, because I remember not having that right. So
and how soon everybody forgets that, right? So,
yes. Yes.
But we'll put that May 19th at 3 p.m. on our calendars.
Good.
And see if we can walk a block or two anyway. So
yeah, it's not a real long walk. I think it's going to be just about a mile, and So thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Oh, I forgot one thing. You all have an excellent director of parks. I am thrilled to death to work with her. She's almost as OCD as me, or maybe a little more. So we come up with some really good stuff when we meet. We usually meet about once every 3 weeks at Starbucks and go over what we think is going to happen here.
Well, thank you again.
You're lucky to have Mitzi Weber.
We like her. Yeah. Thank you. Anybody else have anything? Yes, ma'am.
This may be them. I don't know.
Good morning.
Good morning. You state your name, please.
Yes, my name is Julie Nance. This is my husband, Damon Nance. We live at 2813 Green River Road, And my husband actually spoke with you yesterday, Mr. McCollum.
Yes, ma'am.
We're sort of neighbors, and I walk by your house pretty much every day.
Right.
And our concern is that where our home is located, it's where people go to the dump a lot. It's on the way to the dump. And they don't always make it to the dump with their things. It's dumped in front of our house.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a bit of an incline right past our home, and so things just kind of, they go all the way down. And there's a big drainage, you know where it is? Let's see, what's the name of the street? Right there where you go into Frontier Village. And I walk that direction, and everything, it just kind of congregates, and it kind of goes in that drain. People let their animals go on the street. And, of course, I'm walking, and I'm dodging piles. And, it's not all the time, but it's there. But the street cleaner used to come and sweep, and I didn't notice it anymore. But last Friday, we had a big pile of garbage out in front of our home. And, of course, it was really very rainy. And people were driving through it. It was mashed all over the place. There were shoes and all kinds of things. Well, now it's all dried up, and it's all the neighbors are enjoying it in their yards. So our question was, does the sweeper continue to come down there? Because we never see it anymore. And now we found out it doesn't. And I don't really understand why it doesn't. And I do know that as I'm walking, and I'm walking up into the Frontier Village area, I'm kicking out of the street things so people don't run over them. I kick out over to the side nails, screws, things that people are going to run over and get in their tires. I'm trying to do my part. But a lot of times there's a lot of smell, too. I think it's maybe from when the trash sanitation crew picks up some of the garbage. It kind of drains out onto the street, and it leaves a smell for days. And I just want to know, is there a reason why we can't sweep that area anymore like they used to? We don't really want to get out there and pick up everyone's garbage. I don't know what's in it.
But you're talking about garbage and other things as well.
Oh, yes.
I think the jail, they pick up trash. I know they went out on Highway 60. Somebody called on 60, called me, and I called the state engineer. The state will pick that up. Obviously, it's a major highway, but in the jail helps. I think the state provides safety for them because it's so hilly and fast traffic. But they also pick up, I know they picked up Wathen Lane. I live on Wathen Lane. I didn't call them, but they were just out there picking up one day. And I can check with them as far as the trash. I know that I'm sure they won't pick up the dog leftovers, but I think they'd probably pick up the trash. I'll be glad to check on that.
Well, that'd be great because it's still sitting out there. Of course, it's distributed everywhere. It's
right.
not the big piles now because it's blown.
Right. The jail
People
picks
have
up
driven
trash
it, and it's
a lot. I don't know their schedule or what, but they pick up trash a lot. They pick up ton after ton of trash. They pick up all over the county roads and things. But
I think there's sort of two issues here.
Yeah.
Is you've got the criminal littering for one thing.
Yes.
On the people that aren't, if this trash comes out of their car, then the drivers are supposed to be responsible for that. But I think we've only had 3 criminal littering cases in Henderson, and I think they were associated with drug bust, not particularly that. I get tired of picking up the front of my yard. You know where I live. There.
I do.
I live
yeah.
in the Turn, and it seems like that seems like a good place to
It's a
throw your
gathering
cans,
place.
your cigarette butts, your cups, your whatever. So you
Yes.
have to pick it up before you can mow your grass, which is sort of irritating. But
I think most of this is coming off people going to the landfill. I live on Wathen. They go by there daily, and it blows off. And they should pick it up.
But the issue on the street cleaner, that's a city issue. So
Right.
the city has the street cleaner and they do come by my house every couple of weeks.
Well, I do know that they go by. My dad just lives a couple of blocks from us on Rob Roy, and they do his street.
Mm-hmm.
But let's see, who told us that they don't do that anymore on our street?
I finally got a hold of somebody with the city, and they finally called me back, and they said they quit doing that area because it wasn't a normal curb area with drains.
Right.
But they only do from Frontier down to Watson Lane. Back up the other direction, they don't do that. So because there's no drains at the edge of the road.
So they're just worried about what's going in the drains?
Evidently.
Okay.
But what's in our area is going down to the drain.
It goes down to the drain.
Yeah.
Or at the top of the hill.
Because it slants.
Ed may want to address the criminal littering issue. He's the sheriff.
That's another thing. There are actually signs going to the dump further down that say $500 fine. But what's the purpose of the sign being there if you're not enforcing it?
That's a good question. You can ask the sheriff.
I've got an answer. If y'all want to hear it. We talked about that this morning before the court. Problem with vehicles coming across the bridge. A lot of that's from Evansville. I don't know what Evansville's policy is. I don't know if private citizens cannot dump.
It's more expensive in Evansville.
Yeah, it's higher.
It's a whole lot more expensive.
The toll on it's pretty expensive.
And
yeah.
that they come across the bridge, and it's easy to say, well, why doesn't the sheriff catch them? Well, we may have 5 come through in one day. We may not have one come through for another 3, then 5 more. It's just hard to tie somebody up sitting watching for a garbage vehicle come by. Now, if we get behind somebody and they're not properly tarped, they don't have it tied down. Sometimes before they even leak, we pull them over and say, look, this is bouncing all over the place. Let's tie this down a little bit better. Certainly if we see them, they're going to be cited. I was thinking this morning, perhaps we can go over to the vehicle weigh station at the state line and ask them to observe. They've got that big window. They've got to see a lot of these vehicles go by the weigh station getting ready to cross the bridge and come into Henderson that have things stacked up or bouncing off the trailers on the back. And if they could, if they have enough personnel, if they could have somebody jump in the car and stop them as they cross the bridge and have them tie it down better. I mean, it's an issue we're concerned about. We don't like it. It's our community. We're getting garbage from everybody. As we have people available, we ask them, if you're patrolling up there on 41 North, if you're up there on a call, you see something like that, try to take enforcement action. But it's just difficult to spend the hours that you would need to catch 2 or 3 violators when we're on a lot of other calls and serving a lot of papers and doing other things like that. I mean, I certainly sympathize with you. That's not the answer you want. You'd like for me to say we'll put a deputy sheriff up there 24/7 and we'll catch them. But, as we can, we do think it's an issue. We really do, and we do want to be a solution to that problem. And as we can, we certainly want to do that. So it's a matter of manpower, really.
Well, we understand that. I think what we would really like to see happen is just have that street cleaner go an extra half a block and just get that area that's on the downhill that catches all of that stuff that just comes down. It's just right there. I mean, you're saying that they come by your home. Well, we live just right behind you,
Right.
just right over. And why can they not just do what they used to do, just that one little area?
I think that issue you'd have to address with the city commission.
Yeah, they meet tonight, I think.
Mr. Hubiak, does the county even own a street sweeper?
We do not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. and Ms. Nance, my parents actually live right across the street from you, or just a little bit down. So I've seen this go into their house. It is a real problem with what's going on that road. I've walked it. I've seen what you're going through here, and that it is silly that first of all people allow this to happen, and second of all that it remains in that condition. So I do encourage you, since the city limits are just down from you, I'm sure that it's easy for them not to just say, okay, we're not going to go down that road because you're so close to the city limits, but you are within the city,
Yes.
and the city does have the street sweepers there, and I'm sure some of your neighbors would also be interested in seeing that happen. I know 2 of them.
Yes, yes, I'm sure.
The city limit is actually at Bellwood, which is pretty much the last of the houses down through there. I don't see why they couldn't do from Bellwood all the way back to Green River, or all the way back to Watson Lane. And, it's a little bit more understanding when you get really close to the dump to see a little bit more trash. But back in the residential area, I know that most of these people are not driving from Evansville and coming down Watson Lane and coming up Green River. They're turning at Stratton Drive.
Pretty
a
much.
lot of what I see are rental property
owners
stuff being cleaned out and coming up through there here in town.
Pretty much from that 4-way stop on out.
And you have
see it.
children who are walking home from Ben Gates School, and they're walking through that area where all this trash is. And so, I mean, I think that's another good reason why. And they're not going to watch where they step. They're just going to walk through it. That's what kids do. So that's our concern.
Did you ever make that call to the 831-1200 and get to Works Department and say, hey, listen, there's all kind of debris out here. You need to come and pick it up.
We did not get a return phone call.
Really?
We called 3 times. And I called the sanitation department. I didn't get an answer. He talked to the city manager. We got the most help from the city manager's office and Mr. McCollum. He returned our phone call. And I want to thank you for that.
You're very welcome.
And I called you because I see you a lot, and I know you live right there. I've never met you.
Well, I will.
know
I
that
will
you're our
check. I will check with the jail
Right.
people. I know who to call, and we'll see if we can get
Okay,
the trash
sure,
picked
sure,
up. Like I said,
yeah.
they'll take paper and boxes and tires, whatever's out there, trash wise. They'll.
Yeah.
I'm sure they will, and I'll get your number before you leave, and I'll let you
Sure,
know when I find
sure.
out.
But how can we further pursue the sweeper? Is there something else we can do to?
Go to the city committee meeting tonight.
Oh, it's tonight.
City Commission.
I
What
think
time?
at 5:30, right next door in the city building.
Okay.
Yep, on the third floor.
Okay.
Ed, have you changed your policy on the criminal littering?
We enforce the law. I mean, I don't know what the policy would be.
Well, I mean,
Policy is to reasonably enforce the law.
Well, I was with Mr. Barry when you all got the new cameras on the cars, and it's got the 30-minute second loop and captures it. And Keith had one he wanted to show me, and it was somebody throwing a cup out on Merritt Drive. And Keith asked me if we could file criminal charges, and I said, yes, you could. And Keith caught you, and you said, no, don't you do that, you're going to get me unelected.
That is absolutely untrue. I've never,
Keith?
I'll take exception to that.
I remember you.
I have never based anything I've ever answered on the possibility of getting reelected. We enforce the law. That absolutely did not
Well,
happen.
I'm telling you, you said it.
To you.
No, you said it to Keith when he asked me if we could do it, because I was downstairs in their all's office.
He's mistaken.
Yep.
When was the last? How many criminal littering cases have you gotten?
Magistrate McCollum, and Sheriff, listen, maybe y'all can have that discussion after the meeting.
I'll check the numbers, Charlie.
but-
Get the numbers.
I promise you, in my lifetime, I've never said don't enforce the law because it may cost me a vote. That's never happened.
Well,
Okay.
let's
So that
Can
was,
we-
that was a mistake.
get your numbers.
All right,
If I saw somebody throw out a cup, I wrote them a ticket.
all right. So I think where we're at is it'd be probably a good trip, that commissioner meeting tonight, and talk to them about it. Of course, we speak with Buzzy Newman and a lot of them along the way, and maybe we can have some influence on their decision-making at some point, because we'll talk to the city manager as well. Okay? You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
If I put cameras up in front of the house,
We'll open a report and take it to county
and I
attorney.
can just turn it into you.
Absolutely. Okay, absolutely.
Good deal.
And you can also report it to the city police since you're within the city limits.
Thank you.
I promise we will do a report. Thank you. Go to the county, since I'm up here, can I go ahead?
Sure, go ahead.
I'll make
Yeah.
it brief, just very quickly. To follow up on the dispatch bond, we've got the best communication in this county we've ever had. And that's great. I mean, when you spend money, you want to know you get results from it. In the past, we had dead areas of the county. It was very dangerous. You couldn't get out on radio and ask for help or fire department or ambulance service. So that is proceeding well, and I think when they get that other tower up and operating on the east side, we'll be up to shape. So that's very good. Secondly, the Ohio Drive speed limit deal. Bill told me a while ago they're going to put the signs up this week. We have a radar trailer that we will get the battery charged up. We'll get that trailer out there this week so people can compare their speeds as they see the speed limit sign. And when those are posted, we'll get some deputies out there. Of course, the first couple of weeks we'll do a lot of warnings. We want the people to be educated what the speed limit is and be fair with them. And then if they continue to speed, we would take corrective action. Lastly, when we had our budget meeting last week, I mentioned it to you, but I do want to mention it on the record to the public in this meeting. We had our audit last week on the property tax bill, which is about $27 million. Our girls who are so smart and so competent in the sheriff's office, they balanced within $3 on $27 million. I think that is a great accomplishment by them. I want the people to know they do a great job for us. They're very accurate, very conscientious. So to balance within $3 on $27 million, I thought was a great accomplishment.
Yeah. Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you. Anybody else in the audience have anything for the good of the county? Mr. Hubiak.
Just two things. We set the bridge deck on Cairo Hickory Grove on Friday in the rain. We got it set. It's on. We're grouting it and dialing it in yesterday. We're hoping to have that road opened up by the end of the week if everything goes well, weather permitting. We've also started dismantling the bridge deck on Cairo Lyles to be moved over to Sulphur Springs, and we're still waiting on a little response from Kentucky Transportation Cabinet on the Cairo allows bridge go-ahead, even though they've said that they were going to give us the money for it. We need to have it in writing before we can go ahead and expend the funds on that. So, and I did speak with the sheriff about the radar thing, and he has agreed to do that. I think that's in the best interest of all of our county folks that work on that road. We designated the spots where the signs will go up. We'll get them up this week. So we will work with the sheriff department to make sure we get the radar unit out there for the public. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Anybody else in the audience have anything for the good of the county? Magistrate Southern, got anything for the good of the county?
Just want to say congratulations to Delaney. I think it's your parents are proud and something you should be proud of. It's easy to follow, but hard to be a leader, and that says a lot about you. And all's good in District 3.
Thank you. Magistrate Moran.
What Tim said, congratulations, Lane. I'm a retired teacher, so I appreciate the District 2 is good.
Thank you. Magistrate McCullough.
Delaney, also thank you and congratulations, and also well in District 5.
Magistrate Berry.
Same thing. We always do this. Thanks, Delaney. Congratulations to you, and especially to her parents for having such a hard-working young lady. It means y'all done a good job, too. Water's up in District 1 again, I think, after we gravel some roads. But we can't help that. It's been up and down, so other than that, we're good.
All right. Mr. Gold.
Delaney, it was nice to meet you, and congratulations. I thought it was really interesting that Ms. McClellan was here talking about the 19th Amendment to our Constitution, which allowed women to vote. And it's hard to think that it's only been 100 years that women have had the right to vote. It actually took Congress 41 years of thinking about passing that to actually get around to passing it in 1919. So that really, there are people alive today who were born during that time period. And I just think that's something we forget about sometimes, and forget about how that's something that ladies that preceded you had to fight for, your right to be able to be involved in the government process. And I think that's something, if you get around to Googling the 19th Amendment or something like that, there's a real fascinating history behind that. And I know that it's going to be important to you to know that you're standing on the shoulders of all those folks that have come before you and fought for those things. And I encourage you not to just throw that away and forget about it. We have elections coming up, and Ms. Abner is in charge of our elections. And what we see is that a whole lot of people don't vote, even though we've fought wars for people to have the right to vote, and women had to mobilize and fight for their right to vote. And that's something I think we'll see in this primary election coming up. We'll see probably a pretty low turnout, is my guess. And I hope that you aren't one of those folks. I'm glad that you've been here with us today and learned about government, that it's sometimes boring but important. And I'm really proud of you and your family and how things are going. So congratulations to you. And everything is going well in the county attorney's office. It is always busy, but things are hitting on all cylinders, seems like.
Thank you, Mr. Gold. Well, Delaney, it's down to me. You've heard all these compliments. It's hard to kind of, when you speak last, it doesn't leave you much to say. But congratulations. And again, I know the parents are extremely proud. And Mr. Gold just said some pretty key things, that, and I asked her when we was going through it, I said, pretty interesting stuff, huh? And she, you expect like, yeah, right. She said, oh, no. Yeah. So she was dialed in through the whole court. Now, how much you keep of it, is another question. But again, some of it's pretty dull. But again, just the opportunity to be here to learn about county government and how it operates is you're one up on a lot of them. There's only about 70 of these judges scholars in about the last 10 years or so. So it's pretty impressive, I'd say. To be the top in the school, not in the class, but the school. So you're very special. So Delaney, we get the opportunity to go to lunch. We'll have to talk some more. And again, congratulations.
And
congratulations to you also.
She's entitled to 2 desserts, right?
Right, two desserts, that's right. That's my rule. That's if you want 2 desserts, that's it. So I guess that would conclude the Henderson Fiscal Court today. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Got a motion? Is there a second? And a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right. Court's dismissed.